YouTube, our Eastern Conference Finals matchup is officially set, with the Indiana Pacers set to take on the Boston Celtics, where the winner will advance to the NBA Finals for the 2024 NBA playoffs. In this video, I want to make some predictions and just do kind of a series preview type of thing. We're going to talk some matchups. I'm going to give my thoughts on who I think will win the series and why, and just what I think the series will look like in general for both teams. Let's talk matchups, folks. This is going to be an interesting series, and while I do think it could be a little bit closer than people are realizing right now, one thing's for sure, one of these teams is going to the NBA Finals to take on the winner of the Western Conference Finals. Let's talk about it, folks. So first of all, I'd like to give a congratulations to both teams for making it all the way to the Eastern Conference Finals. The Pacers defeating the Knicks last night at the time of me recording this video, blowing them out in Game 7 on the Knicks home floor. Pacers deserve a ton of credit. One, their front office for making a bunch of moves, i.e. Pascal Siakam being acquired from Toronto midway through the season, really pushed them over the top in the Eastern Conference in my opinion. And two, just all of the role players stepping up big time in Game 7 and throughout the East semis against the Knicks. Huge shout out and props to the Indiana Pacers. Boston Celtics, clearly the favorite in the Eastern Conference ever since the playoffs tipped off. Even without their, third best player, Kristaps Porzingis, who has been their real X factor this season, they still go out against the Cleveland Cavaliers and handle their business. You got to give them credit where it's due. The Celtics deserve to be here, maybe more than anyone. So big shout out to both teams. Let's get into the matchups and why I think this series could be really, really interesting. Maybe more interesting than you think. So one thing was made very clear to me during the Indiana Pacers Knicks series. We'll start with the Pacers and move on to the Celtics after that. The Pacers have one of the more dynamic backcourts in the entire NBA, and that was made very clear to me in that series, like I said, with TJ Mcconnell, Andrew Nembhard, Tyrese Haliburton, Aaron Nesmith, if you want to call him a guard. He's more of a 2-3 hybrid to me, and even rookie standout Ben Shepherd joining the action in the playoffs, getting some minutes and proving why he belongs in the NBA. But mainly Nembhard, Haliburton, and McConnell really were the difference in that series in my opinion. So that is where they shine for me personally. These guys, Nembhard, McConnell, and Haliburton, all are amazing playmakers. They get in the paint more than maybe any backcourt trio of anybody in the league, and just have a knack for setting up their teammates, keeping their dribbles alive, and making plays in the half-court setting and in transition. Also, Nembhard and McConnell are pesky defenders on the ball, and they're great point of attack guys. You always got to watch out for in passing lanes. These guys get active on defense. They get their hands on the ball a lot and can cause a lot of trouble for your ball handlers. Tyrese Haliburton obviously being the star of this team, the number one guy, really started to look like himself more towards the back half of that Knicks series. Struggled early on, but really found his way in my opinion, leading the Pacers to the Eastern Conference Finals for the first time since 2014. Their front court is athletic and versatile on both ends of the floor, led by Pascal Siakam, Myles Turner, Obi Toppin, who has been amazing for the Pacers, one of the best finds of their offseason by far. Obi Toppin is a real problem in transition, maybe the best lob threat in the entire NBA, really dynamic above the rim player. And Aaron Nesmith, who is, like I said, a really good defender and knockdown three-point shooter. The dude's a sniper. Isaiah Jackson also can contribute off the bench, providing high energy and hustle and rebounding. So like I said, the Pacers are a really athletic team who likes to get out and run in transition and make a lot of things happen in the open court. They do a great job, like I said, with their guards of getting into the paint. They shoot a lot of threes. They play really fast, and I think obviously that's going to be their strategy going into the series. Let's talk matchups for the Pacers, and then we'll get to the Celtics, like I said. Now, as I alluded to before, the Pacers guards are going to be the pivotal role in this series. Whether or not they can get into the paint, like I said, they always like to do, and kick out for wide open three-point shots by their knockdown sniper shooters on the corner and the wing. Whether or not they can find a lot of good looks really quickly, and whether or not they can get back in transition before the Celtics do and beat them to the rim and make plays like that. The guards are the key to this series. Myles Turner is a great player. He's really underrated actually. In the half court, I don't like the Pacers maybe as much as you would think with a guy like Haliburton setting the table. I just think, they make their living playing fast and loose and making quick decisions in transition and using their athleticism and pace of play to get a lot of their offense set up. And I keep saying this, but the guards are the key to all of that. So here's the matchup problem for the Pacers. The Celtics have two of the best backcourt defenders in the entire NBA, two guys who are worthy of an all defense consideration year in and year out, and that is Derrick White and Jrue Holiday. Now, Derrick White and Jrue Holiday are going to have the best and most important defensive matchups in this series. They are going to be responsible for keeping these guards behind the three-point line for every possession. They're going to have to run with these guys up and down the floor all game to make sure they don't get into the paint whenever they want. That's going to be the key in my opinion. The front court stuff is pretty evenly balanced. While I think Turner and Siakam are great players that require a lot of attention also, I think the Celtics have a lot of good matchups for those guys, being Tatum, Horford, Brown. Even without Porzingis, the Celtics Celtics should be able to contain those guys maybe pretty well, in my opinion. The key is going to be, like I said, those perimeter guys, Jaylen Brown, Jrue Holiday, and Derrick White committing to getting back on defense in transition, slowing down the Pacers guards, and making them set up good, efficient shots in the half court with under 10 seconds on the shot clock. That is going to be the key to the series, and I think the Celtics have a really, really good matchup to be able to do that with Jrue Holiday and Derrick White. Now, the thing that the Celtics do so well is basically everything. So the pace of play isn't going to be a real issue for the Celtics, in my opinion, because they can play just as fast as the Pacers do if they really want to. And the Pacers are going to always try to speed you up on offense, get out in transition, right? They're always going to try to speed up the pace of play. The Celtics have no issue getting quick shots and making them efficiently, right? So whether you're playing slow or fast, I think the Celtics are just the better team in this series on both ends of the ball, really. You know, the key is going to be, like I said, those guards, slowing them down, making them take tough shots in the half court setting late in the shot clock, right? You got to slow them down. You got to get them in the half court. You got to get your defense set before they can, get past anybody. You got to keep guys like Mcconnell and Haliburton and Nembhard out of the paint, and you got to control the offensive glass. That's what another thing the Pacers do really well. They get on the offensive glass and they get, extra shots, and they actually have a lot of shooting, which is an offensive rebounder's best friend, is an open shooter who can knock it down at a 40% clip. That's what the Pacers have. That's what they're going to try to do. So you got to body up on the glass with guys like Isaiah Jackson if you're Boston, and Myles Turner and Pascal Siakam and Aaron Nesmith. You got to body up on those guys. Make sure they don't get offensive rebounds, and make sure you keep Mcconnell, Nembhard, and Haliburton out of the paint. Let's talk about the Celtics side of things, right? All things considered, Porzingis is supposed to be out at least the first game of the series with that injury that kept him sidelined all the way throughout the Eastern semis against the Cavaliers. Now, that is a big deal for the Celtics. If they don't have their third best player and real X factor and, versatile, dynamic front court option in Kristaps Porzingis, that is a big loss. Now, if he could come back game 3 or game 2, hopefully that's what you're hoping if you're the Celtics, that the Pacers don't steal one on your home floor with the first 2 games of the series, and you can get Porzingis back in a reasonable manner, at least by game 3 of this series. As far as matchups go without Porzingis, I think, the Pacers actually, all things considered, have a pretty good roster to manage a Celtics matchup defensively. The Pacers aren't known for their defense, but they are a little bit better than you maybe would think when just looking at the numbers on paper. Myles Turner, for one, is a excellent rim protector and defender himself in the paint, who maybe can influence a little bit of those Tatum and Brown drives to the rim. Another thing to note is that when Porzingis comes back, he's likely going to be dealing with Myles Turner, and that will take Porzingis out of the paint a lot of times, as Myles Turner is an excellent 3-point shooter for a big man and just in general shoots the ball well. So I think we'll free up the lane a lot of times for a guy like TJ McConnell, for a guy like Haliburton and Nembhard to be able to get into the paint and set their teammates up and make some things happen in the mid-range around that elbow area. I think Porzingis being out of the paint, dealing with Myles Turner on the perimeter, could be an issue for the Celtics. However, I do think eventually they'll be able to find a switch for it and let Porzingis roam and protect the rim, which is what he does best on defense. Now, let's get back to I'm getting a little sidetracked, but who guards Tatum? Who guards Jaylen Brown, right? These are the 2 guys that you obviously are going to want to stop more than anybody on the Celtics. I think Aaron Nesmith is going to take one of them. I think Andrew Nembhard, who's a really, really good perimeter guy, is going to be able to do pretty good work on Jaylen Brown if he needs to. He's a lot smaller and a little bit lighter than Jaylen Brown, but he is a solid defender. But I think Nesmith's the guy who's going to take on one of those guys, and I think Pascal Siakam's the other guy. It's going to be Siakam, Nesmith, maybe Nembhard when those guys aren't on the floor. Turner will be able to be there to provide solid help and weak side shot blocking, while Haliburton might take a wing in the corner. But like I said, all things considered, I think Siakam and Nesmith are 2 decently equipped matchups for Tatum and Brown. While you're never going to be able to stop those 2 guys, they're some of the most elite shot creation wings in the entire league, and they are some of the hardest people to guard, period, in this league. They are a nightmare matchup wise. There's no stopping Tatum or Brown. There might not even be slowing down Tatum or Brown, but at least you have the size and athleticism type of matchups to be able to put on those guys. It's not going to be a situation where you just don't have a Tatum defender and you don't have a Brown defender on your roster. You have the matchups size and athletically profile wise, which is a good thing. That's what you want in Siakam and Nesmith. These guys are long and they're strong and they commit to defense. So that's a good thing, positive if you're the Pacers, but then you have to deal with Holiday, and then you have to deal with Derrick White. And don't forget, Jrue Holiday and Derrick White take a lot of back seats to Tatum and Brown and Porzingis a lot of times, but these guys are pretty good shot creators themselves. If it's a hot potato situation and you got 7 seconds or less on the shot clock and you need a good shot, Holiday and Derrick White are 2 really, really good guys to be able to handle that type of situation. Find an open 3-pointer, find an open mid-range shot. Holiday loves to work in the post, get to the rim. He's a bigger guard. Listen, these guys can hurt you, on ball offensively. So you got to be careful with that. But that's why the Celtics are so good, because you have to focus almost all of your attention attention on Tatum and Brown and Porzingis when he's healthy, but then, you know, getting to the closeouts because the Celtics drive and kick so much and they shoot so well. You gotta, you know, focus on closeouts and making sure you stay out of the paint just enough to be able to get to a closeout a lot of times. But that's why the Celtics are so great. But I will say, with all the attention on Tatum, Brown, and Porzingis, you know, you leave guys like Holiday and Derrick White to just get whatever they want pretty much one-on-one. So the philosophy is always like, you know, we'll have to live with that. You know, you got to give up something defensively, and if it's going to be Jrue Holiday and Derrick White instead of Tatum and Brown, you'll live with that. But these guys are exceptional offensive players themselves, so that's why the Celtics are so great. Either way, I think, you know, the Celtics have by far the better matchup, and they're just by far the better team in my opinion. I do think it could be a 6-game series, and I will say Boston in 6, but that's being generous to the Pacers. I think it's probably, if Porzingis comes back within like game 2 or game 3, I think the Celtics win in 5. If Porzingis doesn't, I think the Celtics win in 6. Even without Porzingis healthy, I would take Boston in this series in 6 games pretty comfortably, I might say. So, you know, while I think the Pacers are not to be taken lightly, they are just as deserving to be in this situation as the Celtics in the Eastern Conference Finals in the 2024 NBA playoffs. Listen, man, the Celtics are going to have to do a massive implosion and choke job to be able to lose this series. So I don't want to disrespect the Pacers at all, because like I said, they are in their spot and they are a really, really great team that you can't take your eye off of, because they'll put you away in a hurry with their fast pace and great shooting offensively. But man, you know, the Celtics are just a different animal in my opinion, and they're going all the way to the finals for the first time since 2022, where they would lose to the Warriors. This time I think they might win that, but we'll get to that matchup when it comes. We're going to be doing every single matchup from here on out, so there's only going to be 3 left, right? So it's Boston and Indiana, and then, you know, for this video, and then it's going to be Dallas and Minnesota for the next video. I talked about that a little bit in the last video, but make sure you guys subscribe to the channel if you guys don't want to miss these matchups. And then when the finals happen, we're going to be doing a breakdown and preview on that series. So we cover topics like this every single day on the channel. You know, I love basketball more than anything in the world, and I want to share it with passionate fans just like myself. The interactions I've had in the comment section are absolutely beautiful, and I just love this community, man. It's the best community in the world. This is the best sport in the world. I want to share my passion for it with you guys every single day. Make sure you guys stick around and subscribe. Check out some of the other videos on the channel. Like I said, Celtics in 6 games if you guys missed it. Don't sleep on the Pacers though. You know, the Celtics have a tendency sometimes to take their opponents lightly, and this is not the series to be doing that. Can't do that in the conference finals anymore, no matter who the opponent is, and the Pacers are deserving of this spot and they earn their right to be here. And I think either way, if you're a Pacers fan, you got to be happy with the result, because, you know, I think you got to be super proud of your team for even getting this far, and you see a lot of growth from everyone on the roster, and it's just a really big off season coming up, and you guys have a lot of promise for your future. And like I said, regardless of the result, if I'm a Pacers fan, I'm so happy they're in this situation in the first place. Make sure you guys drop a like on the video if you guys haven't already. It really means a lot, and it, you know, helps people find the video, new people that haven't watched this channel yet. Make sure you guys let me know down in the comment section who you have in this series. You know, do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? I'm fine either way, man. I'm probably gonna be wrong about it. You know, I do have a lot of predictions up on this channel. I usually get them right, but you know, the second round was a little iffy for me, so maybe, you know, I'm starting to lose it. But let me know down in the comment section who you have in this series, and maybe point something out to me that I didn't mention in this video that could be a key factor in this series. I will catch you guys in the next one. Hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your day today, and hopefully you enjoy this series, man, because I know I'm gonna. But like I said, man, it's Celtics in 6. I will talk to you guys in the next one. This is your boy D Haven. As always, peace.